Tonight, Fox 45 investigates what you probably don't know about a device that's supposed to save lives. We're talking about automated external defibrillators, or AEDs.
Crime and justice reporter Troy Lepola has spent the last 6 months investigating a lethal loophole that might hurt more than help someone in cardiac arrest.
It's those timeless memories that you can recall as if they happened yesterday. Carol Shea cherishes most, especially when those memories involve her husband, Joe.
Love at first sight.
When Ryan Killow met Joe, the two also hit it off.
I don't think I've ever met a more kind soul that just come up to you and just start talking.
So it came as no surprise that it was through Joe Ryan and Carol finally met. It's a night neither one will forget.
What do you remember from September 12th, 2014?
The most difficult moment of my entire life, bar none.
Ryan, who is a registered nurse, was at work in the emergency department that night.
I didn't recognize him.
They said Joe was walking down the dock, and he reached for his chest, and then he passed out.
I was completely devastated.
For the first time, Ryan was meeting the woman he had heard so much about.
So then I met Carol. And I had to tell Carol that Joe had passed.
Sorry. I knew he was gone.
What killed Joe Shea that night along the docks 2 months later killed 53-year-old Vincent Trim on a basketball court. Both men went into cardiac arrest, and neither one survived. Both widows believe their husbands didn't have to die.
They're dead if there's no AED.
An automated external defibrillator, or AED for short.
Time is of the essence.
Dr. Joseph Marine is a cardiologist at Johns Hopkins.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
Effectively, it shocks the heart, stopping all the electrical activity for a moment, and that allows the normal electrical activity to take over.
Dr. Marine says when someone's in cardiac arrest, electrical activity within the heart becomes so chaotic, it fails to produce a heartbeat.
Every minute that goes by when someone is in cardiac arrest, you reduce their chance of survival by about 10%.
Analyze it.
You cannot hurt anyone with an AED. There's only good that can come out of it.
Since Joe collapsed on a dock outside a restaurant, Carol tried to get a law passed, requiring restaurant owners to have an AED on site.
It is a simple fix.
The measure never passed. We found AED requirements vary throughout the country. In Maryland, state law requires AEDs at high schools, middle schools, and most public swimming pools. But they can be found anywhere. But no matter where they are, there has to be a person trained on how to use it.
The key point here is actually using it. You got to take it off the wall.
In Maryland, we discovered there's no law that requires the person trained on site to actually help a person in cardiac arrest. Keith Foreman filed a lawsuit against the gym where 53-year-old Vincent Trim died.
The window of opportunity to save his life with his daughter standing there was missed.
In November 2014, Vincent collapsed while playing basketball. An AED was feet away. The worker trained to use the AED didn't. In the lawsuit filed on behalf of Trim's wife, Foreman argued the worker had a duty to use the AED and at least try to save Vincent's life.
If you think someone is in cardiac arrest, you can't be sued. You can't be held liable for using the device. Well, then why not? There's no reason not to use it.
Maryland's second highest court dismissed Foreman's case. It ruled the law was silent, meaning there is nothing on the books requiring someone to use an AED in emergencies.
Look, if the legislature is going to spend hours debating a bill that is aimed at protecting Maryland citizens, those particularly at risk for cardiac arrest, and is going to implement a bill that requires hours and hours of training and obtaining certification, and then on the back end of it say, well, you're not required to use the device. There's no duty, there's no legal or statutory duty to use the device. Well, then In Mr. Trim's situation, it was wall art.
Good Samaritan laws, I think, have always been applied to this situation and need to be continued to be applied.
Shock advised.
Foreman agrees. Good Samaritan laws would protect anyone trying to administer an AED. But the key here is that person has to try, whether it's more public access or requiring an AED be used by trained personnel. At this point, it's up to the state legislature to act.
I think we need to educate the people at how common it is, how inexpensive AEDs are, how we can save lives, and not to be fearful of them, not to be worried about liability. And our legislators need to step in and help.
A change in the law that Carol could look back on as a timeless memory. Joy Lepola, Fox 45 News.